I'm happy we can finally make it happen.
Really, really happy, and I've been waiting for this actually. Talking to you makes me open up better, to be honest. You passed the check. You literally passed the check.
How are you doing?
I am doing better because I have pushed myself to get better. I'm just working on me, you know? And this is what I've been doing in my whole life, in and out of Gaza. It's stupid because there's no difference between in and outside of Gaza on an individual level, because we are just left on our own. Somebody needs to be taking care of us, but we are taking care of ourselves instead.
What would you say your weapon is?
My weapon is black and white, simplicity and truth. They try to change black and white using the color red, the blood, but this did not work and this will never work. Black is black and white is white, and the truth uh, is simple if you seek for it. So I think my weapon is simplicity.
Obviously, you're from Gaza. You're a Gazan. And I want to
I
understand
am Casablanca. I am from Gaza, yes.
Casablanca is from Gaza. You heard it here.
Yeah.
Before we get into all the politics, I want to understand more about your personal story. I want people who are listening and watching to get to know you. So the last time we spoke, as you mentioned, was in April 2024. And you had found out, I think it was that night, that you were gonna
It was that night that I
wait.
figured out that I'm actually listed and I'm gonna leave in a day or two.
To go back to 9 months ago, when you found out
Yes.
that you were going to cross into Egypt, what was going through your mind? Do you remember that day?
I was confused. I was not really happy, to be honest, because I did not want to leave Gaza myself. I had to leave because I needed treatment for my knees situation. I had a knee situation when I used to work as a chef, and it escalated into the same problem in that other knee. I needed to get transported to Egypt, and I wouldn't really want to get evacuated as an injured when there are people who are at the risk of death or losing their lives, and I'm just like a dude with a knee problem, so it was not really appropriate, even though I had the choice. I did have the choice to leave as an injured person, but I did not have a war injury, so I couldn't really accept that the fact that I can't just leave like that. So instead, I had to go through what everyone from Gaza goes through. You have to pay 5 to 8 to 10,000 dollars to leave, and I paid the 8,000. I had funds from my followers base. They're wonderful people. I have a really wonderful community that supported me and still supports me until this day.
Did
So
you feel guilty leaving?
I didn't feel guilty at first, to be honest. I did not know what I'm feeling at first. I had no idea what I'm feeling. I was trying to live, move on, heal, because I knew before leaving that I'm gonna be exposed to my own traumas. But instead, I found myself surviving, trying to survive again, because there was no professional attention to people who are evacuating from Gaza. No one cares about us. So many NGOs and organizations that claim that they care about Gazans, and they don't do anything on the ground in Gaza because Israel said we cannot do this. So where's the help? Nothing. You get lists of people evacuating. You can take care, you can set a program, a whole program to those people. You can put them in houses. You can pay their rent. You can pay their food. You can give them money even. Egypt is not that expensive for them.
Are you just saying that NGOs don't want to help or don't know how to help?
I'm saying that NGOs were never invented to help. That's what I'm saying. If anybody have worked in this industry, they know it's a whole scam circle, and it's sad and it's real at the same time. They give you a little bit and take a lot of pictures of it to show that they have done a lot.
Is there an
I'm
experience that you can share that you're comfortable sharing that you had with an NGO that led you to feeling like this?
The kufiya you see behind me is something I stole from this organization, the founder of this organization, because they are full of shit. And those people have promised to actually help with half of my rent in Cairo. I made sure before I moved to this apartment to talk to those people and tell them I am moving to this place, but it's a little bit too expensive. But I need help with it, like any help. Like, what does it matter if you pay the full rent or half of it? They were kind and nice at first. They paid half of the rent. I told them, hey, before anything, I don't want you to treat me as an influencer or somebody on social media because I really personally hate that. I hate that, and I want to be treated as a Gazan, as a human being, before being treated as an influencer. They were fine and all for the first month. Second month, they decided to start, hey, could you please link us with your friends? Hey, there's Alana Hadid, we want to talk to her, and we want her to fundraise for us. Hey, there's Jenin, there's Salma, there's We're the Peace. I'm like, I'm a Gazan dude. I don't have any connections. Don't talk to me. I told you that I do not have to do anything to do with social media because I'm here as a Gazan. Do not treat me as an influencer because I did not seek social media. I did not seek the followers. I did not seek any of this. I found myself doing it because otherwise I would have felt guilty that I have this level of English in Gaza and that I have my own perspective on things. And they slowly started getting greedy and annoying until we had a little fight where this founder of this organization told me, hey, if you don't want to work for us, you don't have to be mean. She was gaslighting me. I wasn't mean. I genuinely wasn't mean. She was gaslighting me as if I'm like her ex-boyfriend or something. I told her, bitch, stop. Did you just say that I work for you? Did you just say I work for you? You and everyone in this organization works for me and for everyone in Gaza. For all of us. You were invented to help us. It's not supposed to be like this. I don't have to do something to get something in return.
When it comes to NGOs, what do you think our approach should be?
Our approach is to never donate to the NGOs and organizations when there are people with GoFundMes and GoFundMe campaigns that have their own ways to receive the money. Why would you just hire a third man when you clearly can just send this money directly to those people? Why? Why? Gazans have reached a point where we never actually imagined ourselves doing this, but we are asking for help. We never, this is not a Gazan behavior, but this is a struggle behavior. We're struggling. We struggled a lot. That's why we started making GoFundMe and asking people for money. If they were helping, truly helping, there would be no need for anybody to make a GoFundMe campaign.
First thing you want to debunk is the effectiveness of NGOs.
This whole conversation is like talking about Gazans. We our demands for every genocide, we need the siege to be left. We need the siege to be left. We need to be able to take care of ourselves. We need to be free. And instead, Israel is giving us Qatar and America is giving us Egypt. With all love and respect, we want us to be taking care of us. We want to be doing the things that we want to do. We're people of dignity and we're people of pride. You cannot control us. And we don't want you to control us. I don't want an NGO when what I am demanding specifically is me taking care of me. You have seen some clowns on social media saying that do not donate to GoFundMe campaigns. This money does not do anything. And this money will not actually go to Gazans. Donate to organizations instead. Surprisingly, all those people's skin color was white, surprisingly. Surprise, surprise. This NGOs would tell you like, hey, do not donate to Gazans. We're rebuilding Epstein's Island. It's a good cause. Do not donate to Gazans, donate to us instead. We're gonna do something better for you. What's better than directly donating to a Gazan? That's pathetic.
From what I'm understanding, it's like NGOs want the control. They want to dictate how Gazans live versus allowing Gazans to decide their own future, decide how they want to spend the money and on what they want to spend the money.
I'll make it shorter. They want to capitalize. Simple, simple and plain. They want to capitalize. Or the first world countries cannot control us. Starting from the US, going down to any other country that's followed or like that's following the US policies and capitalizing. None of those countries will ever shape us. We shape ourselves. We control our own narratives. We are the past, we are the present, and we are the future, and nothing will change about this, no matter what you do.
On Instagram, you had posted a graphic emphasizing that life before October 7th, 2023 wasn't easy. In the graphic, it said 65% of Palestinians were in poverty. There was no right to trade or travel. 97% poisoned water, 4 to 6 hours of electricity, and massacres
Mhm.
bi-weekly to systematically weaken the Palestinian population. Then the graphic says, October 7th, 2023 didn't happen in a vacuum. It was the only option for Palestinians abandoned by a world that normalized relations with genocidal, illegal Israeli settlers and erased ours. October 7th didn't happen in a vacuum. When you think of October 7th, 2023, how do you make sense of it? How do you place it within the larger context of Palestine and settler colonialism?
I see it as a wake-up call to the world. I see it as a change of narratives, and I see it also as a beginning of the last step in the liberation. I truly believe it was needed at this point. It was important, and there was no escape from it. Probably 5 years from now, we'll see the true effect of the 7th of October in the world.
What do you mean by that? 5 years from now, we'll see the true effects of October 7th on the world.
When I was in Gaza, I was saying Gaza is free and the rest of the world is occupied. When I lived 9 months outside of Gaza, I am saying Gaza is freeing us because I no longer felt like I'm inside Gaza now and I'm Gazan because looking at them, I'm helpless just like anyone from outside of Gaza. But I can feel a change, I can feel difference. Now I feel like Gaza is freed the world. Gaza made the whole world celebrate when people returned to their homes in the north. Everyone in the world celebrated with us. Everyone was happy. The general mood of everyone on social media is completely different. You can feel like there's energy now in people, there's life in people, and people are happy. If anything, this tells you about the effect and the control that we have over the narratives.
This celebratory mood on social media. But this reminded me of
Yeah.
something. It's like social media is basically, our own echo chamber. People we're following,
hmm
people who are interested in what we're interested in. So, what about people outside of our social media group chat, so to speak? What do you want them, someone who's not versed on the Palestinian cause, when they see the images of hundreds of thousands of Gazans returning to the north, what do you want them to understand about that moment? What's the significance of that?
People returning to their homes is inevitable. You feel like history and the world and the dynamic of the world does not work randomly. If they were to be displaced out of Gaza, they wouldn't have returned, right? If they were to be displaced and kicked out of Gaza, they would not have went back. People would never ever allow themselves to be displaced again. People went back to their houses that's not even there anymore, and they know that it's not there anymore. But guess what? There's nothing else to do. It's our land and it's our homes. 1948, we got displaced once, never again. This is the lesson we learned from 1948. But this time, if they were to displace Gazans, it will never work again. This was the last displacement in the history of Palestine, and this will never happen ever again. Gaza will never leave Palestine. Gaza will never be anything other than part of Palestine, and the most important part of Palestine after Jerusalem.
Seeing those images, and as you described, people are returning to their homes, which they know are not there anymore, which are most likely destroyed. But it kind of
hmm
speaks to like the love of the land, that they are indigenous to that land. That's what, for me,
True.
is emphasized. But when you saw those images, because they've been coming out in the past couple of days, twins reuniting, like
hmm
couples coming together, mothers and fathers, so many beautiful images. Were you surprised to see?
I was not surprised. I was waiting for the victory to happen. The victory is people returning to their homes. The victory is to see people aligning with our existence, understanding that we have no one else to protect us. We have no one else that truly cares about us or willing to die or fight the fight for us other than them. I was truly pleased to see people seeing each other again. I have seen the people in who stayed in the north and have launched campaigns to keep the people in the north and told them to stay and not get themselves displaced. I saw them and Those people were right. Do not leave. The people should not have left, no matter what. You're dead here and there. You left the north to get killed in the south. This is what happened to them. If you die in your house, at least you died in your house. At least. My family did not leave Rafah, and so many people did not leave Rafah until there was tanks on the end of the street. So many families did that. So many people in Maghazi camp did the same thing. I'm aware that tens of families did that too. They did not leave with the orders from the Israelis. They left when they wanted to leave because Gazans, we just do whatever the fuck we want.
Can
You
you
cannot
share
control
more
us.
about your family? Where are they now? How are they doing? Are they still in Rafah?
Thanks for asking. My family was in Khan Yunis since the displacement happened in the south. The part in Rafah where we are at is 5 kilometers near the border, and it's a matter of time where they actually like knock on your door or bomb your door and your whole house with you in it. My family heard that the tanks are really close and they decided to leave. They went as 5 families. They are living in one house, one apartment. Each family is living in one room. And you can imagine what that is like with 13 kids.
Can you share more about what happened? What was their life like after you left Gaza? Did you keep in touch? Were they displaced? How many times were they displaced?
Thanks for asking. I consider my family really lucky. We were not displaced in tents. We were displaced in my maternal uncle's apartment in Khan Yunis, and it's burnt. Israelis burnt it for fun, but my family repaired it, and I have 5 families staying in one apartment. Each family is living in one room. There's 13 kids in the house. This number of kids is normal, and you hear a lot of like children as like killed or victims or whatsoever. It's because the amount of families living together. So if they decide to bomb one house, a lot of kids would die. Those kids were not in the streets, you know. They were deliberately targeted alongside their families. So my family was lucky. They left Rafah. They got displaced from Rafah when there was tanks at the beginning of the road. 5 kilometers. My family lived 5 kilometers away from the borders with them, so it was really risky if they stay. But they stayed until the very like close moment to tanks being in the neighborhood itself. It was tough leaving everything behind, knowing that it's gonna be either destroyed or demolished or burnt down. My dad now goes back to Rafah, checks on the apartment. He cleaned it and got it ready, but there's no electricity, there's no water, there's no signs of life in the place. There's no internet even. And if your phone dies, it dies. So many parts of Rafah, by the way, people are not allowed to go back to still. Rafah have endured 9 months of ground operation, and people are not allowed to go back to their homes while everyone is celebrating the rest. But it's okay. We know that it's gonna happen. We go back.
The images of everyone returning to north of Gaza. These images feel like a
Yes,
symbol of victory, a glimpse of what freedom would
it
look.
is.
Ben Gvir, an
Mm-hmm.
Israeli far-right politician, on X stated, the opening of the Netzarim highway this morning and the entry of tens of thousands of Gazans into the northern Gaza Strip are images of Hamas's victory and another humiliating part of the reckless deal.
I'm laughing, sorry.
This is not what quote unquote complete victory looks like. This is what complete surrender looks like. The heroic IDF soldiers did not fight and give their lives in the strip to make these images possible.
It's really hard to keep a straight face listening to him whining and crying. Oh my God. Oh my God.
We must return to war and destroy. My
What
question,
the fuck is left? You destroyed everything and you got nothing. Oh my God.
exactly. And
This
I
is
want to ask you, why do you think these leaders are so shaken up by these images? I mean, like you, in your words, he's whining, he's complaining, and he wants to destroy when there's nothing even left to destroy. What's happening? Why are they so rattled?
this being Gvir guy is really interesting to be honest. I think he's really honest. He's an honest dude, and he's benefiting us. His existence is benefiting us because he's honest. This dude is honest. Kill them all and nuke them with a nuclear weapon. Oh, he's honest. Let's just give it to him. He's a funny guy too. He gave us a blast. And I don't understand what is he saying this time, except that I know that he's crying. It's a clear victory, and he admitted it. Everyone admitted it except for Netanyahu. This stays the same. Our problem is not with Netanyahu himself. It's with Zionist Jewish people who came to the land as Jewish and now they became Zionist and they take control of the whole world. Those people are the problem. Our resistance is working on a solution, and so far they are succeeding. We have seen the signs of victory, the signs of the beginning of a major victory for the cause. What happened in Gaza is very important because it's gonna lead the way to liberation. His words are true. I would say the same thing, except the war part and the destruction part, because one, they destroyed everything. There's nothing left. Two, there's no victory. Where's the victory you talked about? There's no victory from the first place. Three, you mentioned the soldiers fighting, or they must return to war and they must return to fighting. To fight who? To fight who? Children? If they were truly fighting Hamas with the amount of equipment, the US funds and tax money, if they were truly fighting Hamas, they would have defeated 10 Hamases already. We see leaders of Al-Qassam brigades going out in public speaking right now in the north that they spent the whole genocide working in. And we were like, what were they doing? What were they doing? They were killing children and civilians. There's this Ziometer, we call it. I call it a Ziometer. Whenever Israel starts killing children and civilians more and more, you know that they're struggling on the military side. This is the Ziometer. Ziometer is when there's a lot of massacres, there's a lot of killing happening to civilians, know that they are dying a lot in the military side and they're losing way too much, and they have to cover it by showing a victory to their people. Their people are delusional. Their people are delusional, but guess what? What happened and the victory scenes and people returning to their homes and what Hamas did with the footage of handling the the hostages.
I know you're going to get to this, but one of the questions I did have was when they were releasing the hostages, Hamas was out in full display in Palestine
Yeah,
Square, in Gaza City. And, you know, some of my friends in the West Bank, they said, we as Palestinians were shocked to see Hamas. Were you shocked to see Hamas out in full force in the middle of Gaza?
not a single bit, to be honest. Not a single bit.
Why?
I know
And also because it goes against Israeli rhetoric. Oh, for like 15 months, they've been bombing who? As you said, civilians and children. But like,
civilians and
obviously they're
children.
not bombing Hamas. Kind of breaks their argument. But what do you make of it?
I wish the fight between Israel and the freedom fighters, I wish it was an honest and a clean fight. Israel is not fighting a clean fight. They're playing a dirty game. They're punishing Hamas by killing civilians, and this does not punish anybody. This makes you a killer, a bloody Nazi. Zionism is Nazism, and it's clear to everybody at this point. Our blood will always be louder than their bullets, their weapons, their US-made rockets. Our blood will speak languages and speaks languages they do not understand or know how to defeat. We are the narratives and we shaped the narratives with our own blood. We have sacrificed everything. We will not be defeated. We'll never be defeated. God forbid I was Israel. I don't really know what to do with people like us. I don't know what to do against them. And it's clear there's no solution other than them leaving the land. 15 months of brutal war, brutal genocide that nothing in history have happened in such a small area. Nothing have happened similar to this. And then at the 15 months, people come out with chanting for the resistance. This is absurd. Like this is surreal. Like who are you fighting? And then we get the footage. from the ground of their tanks. We got the footage from the inside of it. It's melted from the inside. Literally melted with a massive hole like this. I'm sorry, but did no one die inside this fucking carriers? There's tens of carriers, and they left a few of them in Gaza because they couldn't carry it because it's just gone. They couldn't hide the proof that they lost completely. They lost on the ground against Hamas. Israel and the United States of Khar America lost against Hamas. The fact that Hamas still have the same cars, the same exact cars they had. They're wearing the same clothes. They have weapons, their weapons, plus weapons they seized from the Zionists they killed. This is a, this is just a whole different defeat. People need to talk about the defeat they had on the military side. They got completely demolished. It wasn't even close on the ground. The only power Israel has is the aircraft. They own the air. I'll give it to them. They own the air. Completely fine. Completely fine. Get into Gaza. I dare them to send one tank to Gaza. I dare them. They know they were staying there, not achieving anything, waiting for their deaths. Literally. And it was the same for us civilians, but look how the difference. The soldiers were in their tanks, waiting for the time that where they were get destroyed by just a one Hamas member coming outside of a tunnel or from under the rubble carrying an Yasin 1505. And we civilians were afraid in our homes that we're gonna get airstriked at some point. That's the difference. We should not be afraid. We're not fighters. We're not fighters. We did not fight. But I guess existence is truly resistance. This tells you that existence is resistance, yes. And they know this when we know this.
How strongly you said that the Zionists or Israel lost on the ground in Gaza. I don't hear much talk about their military defeat, but you're saying they were defeated militarily on the ground.
Indeed, indeed, they lost a lot on the ground. And you can see my Ziometer says that if they killed this amount of civilians and children, it means they lost way too much on the ground, that they needed to hire a lot of Syria, like what they called contract killers and fighters. Why would you do this if you have your own armies? It's because you're losing.
And
You're
robots.
losing and you don't want to, yes, and they use robots as well. They're losing, they lost a lot. And I'll tell you this, they did not only lose on the ground in Gaza, they also lost internationally.
I wanted to ask you about Yahya Sinwar and the footage that recently came out of him in plain sight. I mean, he was out there like on the roads. What did you make of that footage? How did you feel when you saw it? And how could you kind of explain the significance of that footage for Palestinians? And one Palestinian I was speaking to said that it was kind of closure for him seeing that. He said that I think Yahya Sinwar wanted to be out in the battlefield. He wanted to be fighting.
In 2022, Yahya Sinwar said, they put the suit on me and they gave me the bag when I was meant to be in the battlefield instead. And he said he would rather get killed by an airstrike or in the battlefield rather than die in his comfortable bed. This is his personality. This is his ideology and the ideology of resistance fighters. And this is the ideology of prisoners, Palestinians who were imprisoned in Israel. Whatever they do to them in the jails, it does not change them. Yahya Sinwar was in jail, I think, for 30 years. He comes out with this mentality, and this whole 7th of October was, from the beginning, they were saying it's his idea because he tried every other method. So he had to come up with something creative that didn't happen in the history of the case, where we initiate the attack on them to defend. We were attacking to defend. That's how it went. He tried before that. He did not straight up go to battle. He tried the freedom marches and the comeback marches, and it didn't work. They killed tens of children. A friend of mine, his name is Mu'min Abu Ayada, rest in peace. He was really young to be killed. Really, really, he was not even 18 yet, and he just got a sniper shot in his head. What did he do? He was marching and chanting and holding rocks and burning tires on the borders with them. The decision to do the 7th of October and Yahya Sinwar being on the ground fighting. Uh, it's not shocking, but it's surprising that we have footage of this, thanks to how stupid they are. And it's like they work for us. They know what's best for us. The footage they released when he got assassinated, that footage is truly interesting. How do you post that from the first place as an Israeli? This footage everyone have seen this. Everyone now understands and knows the story of the resistance from this footage itself. It's done. It's done for. Israel is done for, and the world knows. Watching this on itself changes the world. Just watching it. If people participated in this in a way or another, it also changes. People who supported, people who donated to Gazans, people who stood next to the news and watched the news every single day with how bad it is and how bad the news are and negative all the time. Those people were also resisting, and those people were resisting with us. This is resistance too, and it's truly important. We have Palestinian voices, we have non-Palestinian voices, we have some celebrities who dedicated a lot of their time to Gaza and what's happening in Gaza. We have someone like Macklemore, for example, who was not only paying attention and doing things for Gaza and making music for Gaza, he also was aware of what's happening in there. He was aware of the scene, the Palestine scene and the pro-Palestine scene. He was in Chongqing, he was with Chongqing in his Chongqing and Khaled Baidoun in his tour, and he pulled himself out of it when he knew that there's some shady work and there are questions that are not answered. These people are not just doing it for clout. I don't believe that Macklemore is doing it for clout. I don't believe Kilani is doing it for clout. Those people have lost a lot.
No, I totally agree. And also with Macklemore's lyrics, when you listen to Hin's Hall,
Hmm.
they're so precise, like he gets it. So let's get to President Trump. Your
Oh.
favorite.
Oh yeah, I was waiting for this. I really wanted to call him an idiot so bad. Am I allowed to call him an idiot?
Yeah, sure. President Trump.
Yes.
I love how we talk about such serious stuff, but like it's just funny. It becomes like so absurd after a certain point.
Yeah.
You know, it's
They
absurdity.
they made us like this. They made life surreal and they made it this weird. Life was not this weird.
I agree. President Trump told reporters on January 26th it was time to quote unquote clean out the Gaza Strip. And he urged Jordan and Egypt, where you are now, to take in Palestinians from Gaza. Both countries said they won't let it happen. You're someone who survived the genocide. What is your reaction to the comments of cleaning out Gaza as if it were a real estate project?
Well, first of all, if there's something that needs to be cleaned, it's the United States of America. They need to be cleaned out of this world. I'm not talking about the civilians themselves, of course. There's a difference between me and Zionists. I know the difference between the civilians and politicians. We really need to clean out the politicians of the United States who are controlling the fate of the universe. And so far, they have been failing. I think Trump is the. I can't laugh. Okay, on a serious note, I think Trump is the. Oh my fucking God, it's hard to say with a straight face. Mr. President Donald Trump is the living proof that the American human being is the most stupid human being on earth. This man needs a big slap on the face and a reality check. You and the whole world have seen the people returning to the north, their homes, the homes that are not there anymore, thanks to their funds, I guess, and rockets. Those people have walked carrying their tents, carrying their luggage. Some people did not even leave the pets behind. Some people were carrying the water tanks with them all the way from the south to the north. They have slept on the beach, on the Gaza beach, on the before the Netzarim checkpoint, in the killing cold. It was freezing cold in Gaza, just to go back to their homes, the demolished homes. And this man is talking about displacement. People from Gaza were saying that this is the last time we get displaced. People have been saying, I would rather drink sewers than leave Gaza again. People have been dying to go back to the north. People have been trying to go back to their homes and they were getting killed and targeted. And we have seen a lot of footage coming from Gaza of people trying to go back in the north and in the south in Rafah. This idiot needs a reality check and he needs to understand that he does not control the narrative anymore. His country does not control the narrative anymore, and they have lost. Israel have lost, and this loss is just one out of many to come. This loss is one out of many to come. But as a president, you're talking about displacing people. As a president, this is a crime, a crime. I think this is a crime, and he should be held accountable. But in a perfect world, if he's to get held accountable, Biden should be in jail right now. But
Do you give
yeah,
Trump credit for the ceasefire?
I wouldn't give any of those people credit, but they are the ones in control. They are the ones in control of wars, and they are the reasons wars happen, and they are the reasons wars stop. But this time, it's different. They were losing a lot, and Israel was losing a lot, and they were looking for an exit, but there was no exits. And Netanyahu was insisting on not giving an exit or finding an exit because his career is at risk. If he goes to court in Israel for 90 days, they can have an election without him. And he knows the whole country is against him now. The whole fake state of Israel is against him now. He knows that. He knows if he goes to court, they're gonna stall and make it go for further than 90 days. And they will have a different, where they will have a new elections, and he will be kicked out of it, and he will get put in jail. And if that happens, he's gone for his career is done. But his career is over already. His career is over. You can see that, and it's lovely what I'm seeing from Gvir. This dude is showing you how conflicted those people are within themselves, how much they hate themselves, and the hate for themselves is reflecting on humanity and on us. You can see how much they hate us. It's a whole different story in the ground in Gaza. It's a whole different story. In the whole area of Palestine, it's completely different now, and we can see it, and you can see it too. But they will never see it. They will never see it, and they will hide it from their own people. Yes, but it will not change. That will not change the reality. It's important to understand that those people are completely delusional, and it's pointless to play the game they're playing. I don't think we're looking for them to admit that they have been defeated. I don't think they would admit that they're defeated because they think that they fought already, but they did not even fight against us in the first place. They were not fighting the resistance. They were killing and murdering innocents instead. So it's pointless to play their game, and we're not looking for them to admit a defeat. We are already changing history. We are writing history with our blood, and there's no weapon, there's no media, no narrative, no rocket that can erase the impact of our blood. We are speaking our own language. This is the language we speak, and the language they understand is the language of killing, because they're refusing every other method, and the only language they understand is the language of wars.
I want to ask you about the resistance. So the broad resistance takes on many forms. You have armed, nonviolent,
Hmm.
like protests and BDS, political and cultural. When it comes to armed resistance, you have Hamas, a well-known political and militant group operating in Gaza. But there are also other
Hmm.
groups like the Jenin brigades. Who are the different resistance groups, and how do you compare them in terms of the support that they get? Who do the people support? Who do people in Gaza support? Who do people in the West Bank support? Is it different? Is it the same?
That's a really good question because people do not understand why Hamas is the one in the picture. There's like an operation room, a united operation room for the resistance group, and Hamas and the rest of the parties work together. But Hamas is in the lead since Hamas is the one that got all the technologies and all the methods and the training facilities, and they're the ones who are in control of Gaza. So They are the government basically. There's no difference except that Hamas gets the biggest amount, the biggest share of support and love because other parties and their political backgrounds, it's kind of a bit complicated to explain. But for example, you have the Islamic Jihad, the second biggest resistance groups, and the political party in Palestine, maybe third political party. Those people are funded and supported by Iran, just like Hamas exactly, but they're sort of like Hezbollah, more like than Hamas, to be supported by Iran like 100 billion%. These people are their background is like Iran and what Iran says, at least politically. Military wise, all the support those parties get, they get it from Hamas, and Hamas gets this support from others. There's no difference in how we think of those people, other than those people are our heroes. Those people are truly our protectors, and you can hate them as much as you want, or have any feelings towards them when you lose everything. But you still come back and be in love with them again, knowing how much they did. About Jenin and Nur Shams, it's unfortunate that I feel like the Palestine they shaped, it's only Gaza, Jenin, and Nur Shams. People in Ramallah do not care about Palestine anymore. That's a fact. People in Ramallah don't give a single fuck about Palestine. So many people in other cities of Palestine are busy with life now, and they forgot the main reason why life is hard and why you're focused on life and trying your best in life and trying to make a lot of money or whatever. It's because there's an occupation and you don't have your resources in your own hands and you can't control your fate and you can't travel freely. All of this is because of the occupation. But people forget they're controlled by the PA, they're majority PA supporters, and you already see how the PA is treating us and treating our resistance groups. People of Jenin and the people who are resisting, the weapons and the support they have, there's a lot of weapons in the West Bank. A lot of weapons. And those weapons, we only see them when there's a wedding. People go out and celebrate by shooting in the air. But they have a lot of weapons. But those weapons are controlled, and the PA is not allowing people to use against Israel. How are we expecting Palestine to be free if we're not doing our best to free Palestine? I don't think people in the West Bank are doing their best. Those people are creating division between us, between Palestinians. The PA is creating division between Palestinians, and it's sad. And something else, because I already have mentioned the military groups and the political parties that support those groups. People need to understand that there's a difference between Hamas and Al-Qassam brigades. Hamas is the political party, and Al-Qassam brigades is the military side of this ideology, and they do nothing related to politics. We Gazans have problems with people in all politics. We do not want any politician to be in charge of anything. In fact, all of us get born with this ideology. My land got taken by people with weapons and guns, and now we, instead of having fighters or an army that's fighting them, we have people wearing suits and carrying bags and sitting behind desks. That is not what we need. We do not need people wearing suits. We want people to fight for us. We want an army. It's not serious that we have politicians instead of an army. It is not serious. In Gaza, we're aware of all of this, and we reject all political parties, and we reject all the politics that controls us.
You're rejecting the politics, but you're supporting the armed resistance, correct?
Yes, exactly. And specifically, we have tried all the parties. Gaza have tried all the parties, and we can already tell you that Hamas as a government have had more than 10 years in like governing and taking care of Gaza, doing a really good job. Really good job. The PA did not ever achieve. And then the rest of it was basically them be playing politics. And they were our enemy at some point. Hamas as a government is not wanted. The PA as a government is not wanted, and we would never ever try to the Islamic Jihad because they're Iran backed and they do not, their head is not in Gaza or Palestine. Their head is in Iran. The head is in Iran and the body is in Gaza. That's
Can
why
you,
they needed an operation room, by the way.
yeah, can you explain more about the PA? Like, who are they? Who are they made of? Are they made up of different parties? And when did
Um,
they start backstabbing their own people?
the PA is basically mainly the biggest political party in Palestine, but those people are basically the political party. It's called Fatah. Fatah is the first party that resisted, by the way, and it doesn't do that anymore. They had leaders, they had really honorable leaders, and they all got assassinated. You know what Israel does? Basically, like it's what happened with Hezbollah. They assassinated the leaders, the first, second, third line. Instead of doing it slowly, they did it in 1 year. And Hezbollah now is different than Hezbollah before. It's obvious that they're different. They're not the same, but they're still a resistance group, at least for now. The same thing almost happened to Fatah. Fatah was the first to resist before Hamas. Fatah no longer fights, no longer adopts the resistance path. They adopt shaking hands with Israelis and sitting on one table with them. They adopt the narrative of peace can come in the end if we just love each other and love our enemy. And if they put a pistol in our heads, we just gonna give them flour. They don't give them a flower, they give them the whole fucking field. This is what the PA is doing. That explains what happened to the West Bank. West Bank is almost disappearing. West Bank is disappearing, and Israel is violating the law, but because we only go to the national international courts and think that something is gonna come out of that, we are losing more and more. I would rather have Hamas than have the PA in Gaza still, and most people would do so. But the actual answer would be we don't want politicians in Gaza. We do not want any political party, but we want the resistance. If you give people the choice, they would choose keeping the resistance and having no political parties controlling Gaza. That's it.
So the Israeli army doubled down in Jenin 2 days after the ceasefire in what's called
Hmm.
Operation Iron Wall. Do you see a connection between the ceasefire going into effect and the
I do.
crackdown in the West Bank?
I do. I do. I think what happened is Trump had a deal, sort of a deal. He gets a ceasefire in Gaza. He gets the credit for internationally that I achieved peace in Gaza finally after 15 months. Look at me. Look at me. I'm gonna build a wall in Gaza now. It's give and return, by the way. That's the relationship between politicians. He gave Netanyahu something in return of taking his hands off Gaza, which is what's happening in West Bank now. That was allowed because he allowed a ceasefire in Gaza. Simple. There's no credit in that. And I'm afraid that they still have a plan to displace Palestinians, but this plan will never work. I'm afraid that they are really still thinking of the same thing, displacing Palestinians, kicking them out of Palestine, and creating the great Israel they are dreaming of. But good thing dreams are dreams and reality is reality, and reality is controlled by people carrying weapons in real life, carrying guns and defending us.
You have family in Jenin, and you wrote, while it's a ceasefire for my family in Gaza, it's a genocide for
Hmm.
my family in the West Bank.
Hmm.
What world are we living in? You asked. So, how is your family in Jenin? What are they telling you? What are you hearing from them?
I have talked to them and they left the house because it's so close to the camp that they are bombing right now. What Israel is doing in the Jenin refugee camp right now is they are displacing everyone from the camp and they are bombing the houses, exactly what they did in Gaza. They are committing a genocide in Jenin right now, and there's no one mentioning it because it's not Gaza, and it's sad because there's no one there to defend them except for a few resistance groups, and those resistance groups are not only fighting Israel, they're also fighting the PA, and they got arrested by the PA, and they got punished for resisting. It's sad, it's unfortunate, but it's reality too. So they gotta find a way around that too, and keep resisting, because it wasn't easy for us in Gaza too.
The city of Jenin and the refugee camp within it have been, in the words of Palestinian journalist Mariam Barghouti, raided, bombed, and besieged by the Israeli military in attempt to crush the Jenin brigade. So why Jenin? Why are they going after Jenin, the city, and the refugee camp?
Jenin got completely demolished and they displaced the people, but they went back and they rebuilt their homes and they went back again. Jenin is Gaza V2, and they're trying to have their own Gaza in West Bank, but it's really hard for them to fight two enemies at once. But at the same time, they're existing, and as long as they're existing, they will be able to resist in a matter of time because existence is resistance, yes. And this is just another proof of that. They're bothered by people existing there. And it's not like those people get out of the refugee camp to just go and do a 7th of October against Israel. Those people are just existing and living in the refugee camp, and they're not even a near danger for them. The only time it's their danger when Israel decides that they're gonna get into the camp and arrest someone. That's the only time they are a danger for them and their safety.
How can people join in supporting the liberation? From your perspective, from your Gazan perspective, what kind of support do you want to see?
The kind of support is to resist. And as I mentioned previously, people who are donating are resisting with us. People who are talking about us are resisting. People who are protesting, as much as I think protesting doesn't do much against like governments that do not care about what you say because we people have lost the power already. It's still important. It's better than nothing. Yes. Um, People need to understand that being on the right side itself is resistance, and it's a major, massive support. It's a massive support for us to be on the right side, to be on our side, and to have number of people that are on our side and having faith in us. It's important. It's really, really important. To continue the support, I think, is to just never stop doing what you're doing already or what you did during this genocide. Keep doing what you did. Simple. And slowly pressure the governments and probably contact with CEOs, I should say.
I think that what you said
Um,
is really kind of powerful. You said like you already are on the right side. That's a huge step. Just
it
stay on the
is.
right side and keep going.
Yeah, yeah. Keep doing what you're doing already. And if anything, like if they really, really want to do something more, is go after those war criminals. Do not allow them to live a normal life. It's a ceasefire. A ceasefire is a break for us Gazans, not for the rest of the world. It's not a ceasefire for the rest of the world. There's still an occupation. There's still a lot of occupations in the rest of the world, and people need to free themselves, and people need to keep fighting against that, and they need to understand that those people cannot live a normal life anymore after this crime they committed. This crime is something that's not going to be forgotten in history. Not only they committed the crime, but they're lying about it and they're brainwashing people. So do not let those people live. Um, there are arrest warrants against them.
What's happening in Palestine, the forces at play in Palestine are the forces actually at play all over the world. We just have to
Yes,
wake up to it. It's affecting us in every which way,
yes,
from climate to the food we eat. So it does impact you. And I think to
it
learn
does.
how it impacts you and to start just like untangling yourself from that. And
History will remember this tiny piece of land and this 2.5 million people who have changed the whole world. People and history will not forget us and will be remembered as the ones who ignited the fire. of liberation against the world. Because clearly the world we're living in was shaped to benefit the Zionist Jewish people. It only benefited them. So this tells you a lot about history and how history was made. And this tells you a lot about the presence we're living in and the future they dream of. Gaza will free everyone. Gaza already freed a lot of people, but Gaza is gonna free the whole world.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I can't imagine how I lived all my life brainwashed until a year and a half ago, to be honest. Now I'm like questioning everything and
But
yeah.
it's good. It's unfortunate that we had to sacrifice a lot to get people to know and hear. But this is what you do when you're dealing with an enemy that's controlling the media, controlling the money, controlling economy and countries. They're a threat to humanity and life on Earth.
You shared an Instagram post where your father writes about 15 months living under a genocide. I wanted to
hmm
ask if you'd like to read his words to us and share your thoughts on what he says is living with terror.
I would love to. It's really important words from someone who's capable of describing things and very vocal about anything in life. It was titled by Living with Terror, and he said, the enemy waged a war unlike anything we could have imagined, unlike the previous experiences. The US made a huge difference this time. Missiles fell like madness, each crash shaking the ground beneath us and striking fear into every heart. Each family braced itself, convinced that the next bomb would fall on them. Thousands of times we heard the cries of our children, their fear echoing through the night, leaving scars no parent could heal, nor the child can grow out of. I think it summarized the major parts of this from his own perspective. I don't think he could have said anything better than this.
Your father wrote that Palestinians need to focus on what unites them. And what do you think unites Palestinians or can unite Palestinians in the future?
This opens up the um, a spot to talk about my dad and his experiences. My dad is 70 years old and he's been with all political parties you could think of in Palestine. And he was in the elections with Fatah, and then he left and he went and joined with Hamas. He was in the elections with Hamas. He did not succeed. Good thing for him because who could have thought that Hamas would do bad as a government after 5 years or 4 years? His point of view has no bias at all. That's why he's so appreciated by people and by so many people in those parties. What he meant by what he said is we don't want people to fall into the bias towards the political party they like themselves. We don't want people to be back in the same like loophole where we were like this or that, Hamas or Fatah, or no, it's the Islamic Jihad, or it is politicians. There's no difference. They're all politicians, and we do not need them. We do not need them. We need our resistance. That's what we need. He is afraid that people are gonna go back to the narrative of like, oh, I'm with the PA, I'm with Hamas, with Fatah, and they're right, and we love them, and we hate Hamas. It's just stupid to think this way, and I think it's Israel made, by the way. I think it is Israel made to keep people busy and think that there's difference between this politician and that politician. There's no difference. There's only one enemy, and we should focus on that enemy. Anything else should not matter.
How does he think Gazans and Palestinians should focus on that one enemy through supporting one resistance or the broader resistance?
We support all the resistance. We don't care about like this party or the other party. We love all the resistance groups, but politically wise, Gazans are split, at least before the genocide. They were split between, oh my God, we're struggling and Israel is besieging us because there's Hamas here and the government is Hamas. But if it was the PA, it would have been better. But it's the PA is in West Bank and it's not better. They seized more than 75% of the land or something. Like there's barely a West Bank there. So basically Gazans are in between two. You either are you want Hamas in Gaza and accept the siege where 60% people are living in poverty, or you just accept the PA and have some money in the country, but at the same time get assaulted every morning, get abused every morning by Israeli soldiers because the PA allows that. People would rather not be in this or that. We have been under siege for so long, but we don't also want the PA because we know how bad it is. We know how bad it is and how bad on the long run for us Palestinians.
So does it have to be the PA or Hamas running Gaza? I mean, realistically, what is the other solution? Can an armed group?
It's easy. It's not that it has nothing to do with armed or unarmed. It's people who do not work with anybody. We have a lot of we have a lot of big minds that do not do politics in Gaza because we understand politics in Gaza. We understand how things work with politics, and instead, the person who has an influence and has like a specific degree and a major degree, and people listen to them, they prefer to just be on their own and say their own opinions and be on their own rather than be under the name of a specific party. That's what they would do. And there's a lot of people, including my dad, like he was in the election with Hamas, and when he failed, he just completely stopped working with them uh, because he realized that it was not about the things they were talking about. No, it was just a cover. The things they were talking about were just a cover for them to just be another political party. But the difference is they're gonna have beers and they're gonna be religious and they're gonna steal in the name of religion. That's the whole difference between them and the PA.
Are you saying just eliminate politicians? Is that practical to have?
Yeah, we do not need them because their existence is holding us back. We never needed political parties. We needed armed resistance groups. We don't need parties. Those parties existed to please the world and to tell them that, look, we are organized.
Good people who get out and get into politics can be influenced.
Yeah,
We can talk about Motaz.
it's important to talk about someone holding a camera who found himself with a lot of followers he did not seek. It's important to talk to him about him as a Gazan, as a human being, as us Gazans having to do whatever we want with each other. But the world does not get to do the same to us. No. We get to talk about Mu'taz when he talks about the resistance, but we understand and we respect each other. We Gazans love and respect each other, and we cannot allow others to talk about others. Unfortunately, I think he should have sticked to being a photojournalist because that's what he was known for and he was special for even before the genocide. I have seen him once. I've met him once in real life, and he's a cool guy. He's a nice person. He's a really nice person. And I feel bad when people attack him, and I feel bad when he puts himself in a position where people can attack him. I think he needs a break from social media. I think he haven't had his break when he left Gaza. I feel bad for him, and I feel he's being pushed to do all of this. By who? I don't know. He thinks it's good for him to go and speak and lecture and educate, but he's ignoring himself and his mental health. You can clearly see that he's not doing well mentally. It's so clear and it's so sad. And there's no one around him that's telling him, hey, you need to stop using Instagram or just let someone handle your account and you take care of yourself. You need to stay away from media. You need to stay away from the news. You need to stay away from all of this. Get healed, get better, get educated because it's sad. If you talk about politics or if you talk about Palestine and you're not educated enough, you could get us into looking bad. For a photojournalist to have become a someone who's involved in humanitarian work and politics and things that he is not supposed to be meant for, like this is not your field, Mu'taz. This is not your field, and you do not understand politics. You thinking that going in a video with Mark Ruffalo, who was backing Kamala Harris, and like he got exposed for not truly being on our side by supporting something else. And when I talk to Motaz, he tells me, no, it's an intern policy. We cannot get involved in this. Are you serious? This is basics. If the United States is involved in killing us, in controlling the policies in Gaza and Palestine, and controlling the fate of all the universe, everyone should interfere with their policies and their politics, and everyone should have a saying. And anyone who supports Kamala Harris or Biden should be held accountable. You do not go with this and say that, oh, but I fundraised $30 million for Gaza. And when I ask you, like when I ask Mu'taz, did this money go actually to Gaza or did it go to the PA? He says, oh, it just went to Gaza. I'm asking more questions, and he's just not responding. He doesn't want to respond to that because he know it's not true that you fundraise for people that are not gonna do anything on the ground with this money. That you fundraised for bank accounts in Ramallah. That's what you did. That's what he and this pleases you and makes you feel good about yourself, but it doesn't please us. It doesn't help us. So it's sad. It's sad to see someone now lecturing people about Palestine and politics and humanity, and then goes in a video with someone who backed a genocidal candidate. It's sad. He needs to educate himself before educating the world. He needs to take a break for his own health, mental health. And I do not never ever doubted his intentions or his love for the country. I just know what place he's in right now. I really know what place he's in right now. And I have been in the situations where I would say stuff or I would want to say stuff or react in ways that he did, but I didn't. I chose to not be on social media instead or be with friends and talk to people. Why would I talk to people who do not know me and I don't know them or have a discussion with them about something that's super sensitive? Now he sacrificed his spot in Gaza. If Mu'taz goes back to Gaza, I don't think he's gonna be welcomed at all. I don't think he'll ever come back to Gaza anytime soon.
Why do you say that? Do you think most Gazans feel the
People in
way?
Gaza hate him. Yeah, people in Gaza have rejected Mu'taz now, and people in Gaza don't really like love him as much as you think they do. The first thing he did when he got out of Gaza, he just met the president. I can tell that he wasn't happy looking at or like shaking hands with him. It was obvious on his body language. But I'm sorry if you're allowing yourself to be directed and moved in specific ways. I would rather not have you speak at all if you allow yourself to just be one of those media and like just another tool that's controlled to shape opinions. He did a lot for Gaza. He did so much for Gaza. He's one of the most important voices in Gaza. But in the end, people have to treat him like he's a photojournalist, and he needs to treat himself like he's a photojournalist because he's not doing that himself. He does not go around as the photojournalist holding the pictures he took. He needs to have a gallery with his pictures, and this gallery be held every month in a different place. And he talks about it or his experience to the people who are attending to see him. He cannot go and sit with ambassadors. He cannot go and do that because it's sad what happened to him, and it broke him. I know the fact that the Palestinian ambassador in Turkey did not even know who Motaz Azaiza is. When children in Europe and children in the US know who this guy is now. A reality check to him to understand that politicians are in a whole different world and they do not care.
I understand what you're saying. It's what you've been saying throughout the interview. You need to remove politics. Politics is not the
Yeah,
answer. But I do have a question for you. If you had the chance to meet politicians and ambassadors and change makers around the world to speak more about the Palestinian cause, to maybe you can talk to them and maybe you could make a difference, would you do it?
I wouldn't want to meet any politician or a change maker because I am and we Gazans are the change makers now.
We talked about mental health a little bit. You talked about Motaz's mental health from your
Yeah.
perspective. If you could paint your thoughts and emotions on a blank canvas, what would it look like today? Like if you had a blank canvas and someone said, just paint what you're feeling, what's happening in your mind, what would it look like?
You know, I already draw, right? I don't know if you know this, but I already draw, and I have a lot of drawings. And the way I draw is I don't just have an idea and just draw it. I just put my head on the paper and just slowly start connecting dots and lines. And then in the end, I realize that I have done something. I draw what I feel. And if I wanted to draw something about my feelings since I left Gaza, it would take me 9 months to draw something. It would take me so long, but it's gonna be black and white only because that's the style of drawings that I do. And pretty much it would start confusing when I started. It would be like the beginning of the drawing would be really confusing. The middle would be a mess. The part where the drawing is gonna get better, it's gonna be the end because I don't know the future, obviously. It's gonna be really like the part where before it ends, the drawing, it's gonna be the most beautiful part. The first and second part would be a little bit messed up, but they're gonna be meaningful still. And the last part would be the most interesting part, and it's gonna be beautiful because I'm in a state of mind where I am okay to tell myself and to say that I have survived already. I no longer have to survive anymore. I am um, Casablanca. Casablanca is a artist. Casablanca is a chef. Casablanca is someone who does art. I wrote music. I have 5 songs already. One of them was sang by my friend Desiree in the hip hop festival, Hip Hop for Palestine festival, and Motaz, McLemore, and Anis. A lot of artists were there, and they listened to the song, and they loved it so much it moved them. I am committed to music, to art, and I am very, very, very excited to start doing music.
Why did you choose music as your creative expression?
Yeah, thank you for asking. Actually, this is really interesting. Um, I feel like I've been talking a lot, and it's not reaching. I feel like I've used all the words possible when I was talking about my struggles and my people and all those things, but words don't feel like they are words anymore. So art is a shape of talking, a shape of sending a message. It just relieves a lot, gets a lot of emotions out. I feel like I have peaked when it comes to words and emotions. Speaking regular words does not deliver feelings anymore. That's why I have been writing less and less because I don't feel like it's reaching anybody. And every time I write, Shivan, I shit you not, every time I write, I cry while writing. The last thing I wrote was 2 days ago. It starts with what if our houses were made of flesh and bones too? And I cried writing this, even though I did not lose my house. My house had 3 shells, 3 tank shells in it, and luckily the tank shells were like so tiny that they only just punctured the hole. That's it. I feel like I'm a really lucky person. I'm privileged. I won a lot. I have lost a lot and won a lot in life. One of the people I have lost was my boyfriend. He refused to leave Rafah because his whole family got airstriked, and him and his mom got pulled out of the rubble alive, and the rest didn't make it. He was with all his family members, his sisters, two married sisters, and their kids and husbands. Everyone is gone. He refused to leave, and he stayed in Rafah. And staying in Rafah after people leaving means you're not a civilian. I was in a relationship with him for a while, but because of his religious beliefs, we were just friends for a while. But we just at the same time we know that we're still boyfriends, you know? It's sad. I respected his beliefs, and I knew that he would feel like he felt bad about being with a man as a religious person. So I respected that, and I just accepted the part where we just hug and cuddle, I guess. He was the only love I had. He was my only relationship, and we were together since I was 14 and he was 13. And he was the one who loved me, and I have never been loved after that time, actually. He was the only person someone loved me. And we had something, could be a movie, literally. And I'm really lucky to have had that in Gaza. I was in Hamas jails for 2 days for my sexuality. Yeah, I was just in jail because I'm gay.
Really?
Yeah, I was not even an activist. I don't even know how they knew anything. They were watching social media and they noticed something and they sent me a warrant. But
Hamas sent you a warrant and threw you in jail after seeing something on social media.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But this is something about one of the things that people do not know about politicians. This is a government and they are politicians, and this is what they do. It's normal.
How did you start the healing journey after you lost someone who was so close to you? Or in the words that you've described, someone who's loved you in such a way, how did you process that and how have you moved along if you have? Can you?
I don't think so. I think I will never be able to move on. And I think every time I think of him, I think of the times where he says, I love you, and I am out of shyness, just ask him what did he say, and he just doesn't repeat himself. This is my only regret in life, and I feel bad that I never was very open about my love for him. Um, he loved me so much, and it was not one-sided because we were together. We made out, and we did everything except for sex because I knew he would not like crossing that line. Because he's really, really religious. And I grew up religious too. We were equally as religious growing up. So we did not reach that point. We just were happy with what we have. We were just making out, making love. It was awesome. It was perfect. It was perfect. And I don't think anything is related to that, to what I had. Um, I I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back for 5 minutes and spend 5 minutes with him. Um, but it is what it is. And I just I I could say I moved on, or I could say I moved on, but the truth is I did not move on. I accepted the reality and I am proud of him more like anything. Um, he lost everything and he decided gonna fight. And he was a fighter pretty much without anybody knowing except his family. Um, I'm very honored to have known someone like him. That's it.
What are you going to write about in your music? Is he going to be part of the lyrics and the stories because it's a part of your
At
life?
some point, yes, 100%. At some point, I have already wrote some verses about him when I get waves of grieving, and I like because it's a lot of grieving. I focus, or my brain focuses on one specific thing while grieving. And one time it was about him, and just was listening to a song, and the music in the song was inspiring, and I wrote stuff to that. Um, Other than that, there's like different styles of songs and stories I'm telling in my music. All my music is about Gaza. I can't write anything other than that. I don't know why. And I'm happy that I can do that because this is me expressing the things that I couldn't express with words, with just words. This is art. It's different than just words. Um, This song is called Revolution, and it goes with all of them don't have a story. I'm walking his story. I'm future and past. Living in hope taking no day. Gaza from Gaza and Kofi is the mask. Listen to Gazans, it's more than just verses. We're telling you stories that last. Be on my side or to cover and cover the layers. We're moving too fast. This is how it goes, and it's supposed to be a hype song, angry voice, mad, high beat. Um, Supposed to be a boosting. I'm boasting about what I have lived, about what am I? Who am I? I am the story. I'm walking history. I need to be involved in things and be part of things. And where I find myself, where I see myself is art.
Yeah.
I am creative enough to make art. And whatever I wrote, I feel like it can bring something to the table. People nowadays don't sing about something that they have lived. I'm singing about things that I have lived, and people get moved by it.
Really, really happy for you. And it's so clear that this music and this journey is bringing you joy, and that's healing. If you could solve one problem in the world, what would it be?
I think our biggest problem is politics. I want to solve politics. I want to solve politics and get rid of all the politicians in the world. There's no need for them. And the second problem could be money. And both of them are not needed. I'm sorry, but money is the reason why wars are happening. Money is the reason why we humans in general are killing each other. Every war is the reason behind every war is money. Are we gonna allow money to control us like that? And are we gonna allow the ones who invented money and control the money to control the world with the money? No. We have been failed by the rest of the world. We have been failed the whole world, and we've been failed starting with the Jewish community. The Jewish community is failing us, and they are expecting us to, or they're demanding us to tell the difference between Zionism and Judaism, when Judaism have not put any efforts into kicking Zionism out of their religion. So I will forever call them Zionist Jewish people.
The large majority of Jewish people have been silent.
Yes. Do you want to know why they're silent? Because they benefited from being Jewish. Benefited Zionism, benefited them and benefited Judaism and Jewish people. Jewish people are the richest people on earth because Zionism made them rich. And they were silent from the first place about occupying Palestine. They were they were silent this whole time, and now some of them started realizing, respectfully, their grandparents never really realized, never understood. They were silent and they were happy when the genocide did not start in the 7th of October from the 7th of October. It started in 1948, and they were silent about it. They were silent about it. It feels like feel like everyone who's feeling guilty trying to wash this guilt by supporting Palestine. I mean, you can do that, but you have to be honest with yourself and with us. Because if a narrative changed in you, you're just gonna like change when the narrative changes. What's the point? I want someone who's loyal to me and to my people and to my case and to humanity before any of this. To humanity. I feel disappointed. I feel betrayed. Zionism is controlling Judaism, not the opposite. ISIS does not control Islam.
Zionism is controlling the world.
Exactly.
If you had to leave listeners and viewers with one question, a question that you want them to think about and ask themselves, what would it be?
Are you actually free? Are you actually free? Do you live in a free world? Is this world free? Who's free? Who's truly free in this world? Except us. Are you doing your best to free yourself? So many questions. The list of questions could go on, but mainly, are you actually free? And I think we know the answer to this. Um, I don't think anyone is free except for us Gazans. Simple, really simple.
And if people ask themselves, am I free? How do they determine whether they're free or not? Who's in power? Who controls me? Like, what's the next question to figure out whether they're free?
Simple, really simple too. Again, think of the world. Think of us all, us humans. We are all one. No differences at all. One human is killing another in the most brutal ways for 15 months. And I can't do anything about it. The only power that the people have and the only way out of this situation is the revolutionary way. And the only way you engage with politicians at this point is the way Luigi Magnoni did it. May God bless him. May God bless him. Um, this is the only they reached that they made us reach this point. They made Luigi reach this point. Luigi Magnoni did not start in a vacuum. Luigi Magnoni did not start on the 7th of October. He started in 1948. Simple. It's all connected.
Thank you for simplifying it all.
It was a really, really good talk. We were talking in a very simple way and we were direct and straightforward, which is something you do not hear from your politicians.
Vote for Casablanca.
Yeah, Casablanca for president.